Hey everybody, this is Tom in Western North Carolina. It's December the 2nd, 2024. Time's moving on. Anyways, I've been asked in a comment to show and explain the handles on my draw knives that I use. And so that's where I'm going to start with this video, showing those draw knives. And I don't know how long this might last or anything like that, and I'm just winging it. I did a little teeny bit of preparation, but I also, I guess I'm gonna just go ahead and show tools. I think there was also a comment, tools, what tools do you use? And right up front, I'm gonna need to tell you that everything that I tell you is just my opinion, and it's what I do, and hopefully you can get some ideas for whatever you want to do. And I encourage everybody to do what's best for you and not exactly follow exactly what I do. And anyways, we could talk around and around in circles about that forever. But just if you're going to try this stuff, just try it. And don't be afraid to fail. You'll probably do way better than you think once you get into it. Anyways, some of this, like I say, is just going to be what tools I use and what tools I have used, and maybe even what tools I recommend. And I'm going to get to those draw knives in just a second, but the first thing I'm going to say is this is the first draw knife that I had. Oops, somebody had that on backwards. But anyways, this is a standard, what I call a standard classic draw knife. It's a Greenlee. If you're up north, you can probably find these at flea markets and stuff. And if you're buying a draw knife, one of the things to look for is two pieces of metal. You see that line there? There's a hard piece and a softer piece. And this one is almost full size. It's been sharpened very little over its life. I'm pretty sure that my dad bought this brand new, like right after World War II. This was in my dad's shop that he basically never used when I was a child. And I got this draw knife and I used it. It was the first draw knife that I started using. And I don't want to get into any controversy right now, but this is a bevel side down draw knife. And it's just by the way the handles are in it, it works best that way. It doesn't, you got to tip it way up like this to use it this way. If you use it this way, it works right, in my opinion, bevel side down. Anyways, then this is the first one of this style draw knife that I got. And it's a Witherby is the name on it. It's got a little bit of wear on it. Oh, look, there's rust on it. I haven't used this one in a while. But it's the first one that I converted to this style handle that I put on them. And the trick to these draw knives is, I'm gonna pick this one up. I found this one a couple months ago in a second-hand store. It's a Nobles. Right there's the name. And Nobles was the first one. They were the ones that first had the patent on this style draw knife. And the thing about this style draw knife is, see, I got a screwdriver, any nail or anything. You should be able to loosen this. Can't loosen that one. I don't know why. Guess I haven't tried before. There, I got that one loose. Got my screwdriver stuck in there. But anyways, this undoes this little cap, whatever you want to call it. It's a nut. But anyways, on here, there's a whole bunch of, see if you're seeing this. there's a whole bunch of little gear teeth. I'm not sure what you want to call them, but that allows you to put the handle, that handle can go anywhere you want in relation to, the blade. And so you could set this particular draw knife for your own convenience, wherever you want it to be. You could set it up for bevel side down or bevel side up by just, rotating these handles. Now this particular draw knife, it almost looks like it was broken half. Right there you can see I've been shining on it, but there was kind of a weird spot there and on this side also. But I just went ahead and bought this because it's this style. I think it might be useful, but I think this was welded right here. And if it was welded, if there was any temper of any kind in this knife, the temper has been taken out of it right in this area. And I can see I've sort of tried to sharpen it, and that area, I believe, is a lot softer than the rest of the blade. And so these noble ones in that Witherby, they all have 21 teeth. So you got 21 different places you can set it. Now this one here, I'm pretty sure this is one my dad found at a secondhand store. It does not have a name on it. And it's got 13 teeth. The teeth are a lot bigger on this one. And we got this one set up real weird with the handles not even lined up with each other. But this particular draw knife, and this is another thing, if you're new to thinking about draw knives and stuff, this draw knife has a curved blade. And I hope you can see that, but this blade is curved this way. And some draw knives have got a curve in the blade this way. And so if you see a draw knife, be aware that if you want a straight blade, don't buy a curved blade. And the curved blade, I don't use a curved blade much anymore because I mostly do my slats with a bandsaw and a planer, because I've gotten lazy and I just want, uniform product without much labor. But if you're going to do your slats by hand, a curved draw knife is a very important, or I guess nice thing to have, because you can flatten that big wide slat with a curved draw knife a lot easier than you can flatten it with a flat blade. And so just not too long ago, I had a student here and we were just fooling around, and it was just like, well, we don't want to do it with a bandsaw and planer, let's do it by hand. And we started in, he was making 2 slats and I was making 2 slats. And it was like, well, we did what we could with a flat blade, but then I said, well, let's get this curved blade out and see what happens. And it was like magic, changing over to a curved blade. And he was a beginner with a draw knife, but boy, he made 2 good slats. And I made 2 good slats with a curved blade. And that's what this one is. And we both just did okay with these handles like they are. But anyways, this, and here's some other ones. I don't know what this one is. This one's a no name. I don't remember where it came from. Maybe it's the one my dad got. Man, oh man. I don't know what somebody's been doing with this one. It's all chewed up. I just don't even know what happened to this one. I don't know why all those marks got on there. Anyways, that's like I say, I'm just winging this. I'm looking at this stuff and I don't even know how it got. But this is the first one of these that I ever had. It's the Witherby one. And like I say, I haven't been using it. It's got rust on the blade. But it's got, you know, the two-piece metal on it. Got a lot of life on it. You know, hasn't been sharpened very much. You know, I got these good draw knives that I've got that I like to keep good. I've got keepers on them, you know, so they don't get banged up when they're not in use. But anyways, you see I've got these extra handles put on them. And this, I guess, is the question. The person asked me a question, what is the deal with that and how did you do it? And so anyways, you know, I showed you, you know, the ends, these ends that you can screw off. Well, it turns out that these particular draw knives, in my use of draw knives, even this one like this, it's like I want to hold the draw knife up like this. I want to hold it in line with the blade, okay? I don't want to hold it down here. I'm having to always apply torque to keep it right. I want to be right up here in line with the blade. And I'm just telling you, it's my own quirk that that's what I want to do. I don't want to hold down here. And so these particular draw knife here, I'll show you with this one, if I'm going to hold the blade up here, that little thing right there is poking right into my hand. And I don't like that. It gets old, you know, if you're making like 6 chairs or something and you're doing all that work, that gets old, that thing poking you in the hand. And so I came up with the idea that I could put these auxiliary handles on here where I could hold right here. I hope you're seeing this. I've got the picture on the other side of the camera, so I can't see really what you're seeing. But anyways, I want to hold this draw knife right here. And so anyways, okay, yeah, all right. I've got 3 of these draw knives that have these type of handles on them. And right here are those little end things for 2 of the draw knives. And the reason I save these in case somebody wants to put them back on after I'm done with this, that this first one here, I don't have those end pieces because it turned out that the thread that end piece was going on this particular draw knife, that thread is not a standard thread. It's a proprietary thread that whoever made this draw knife, they were just using that thread. And so I didn't have a nut that I could use on this one. I had to use this end piece. So I took that end piece and I filed it down into a 6-sided nut. And so those little end pieces on this particular draw knife don't exist anymore because they're a nut now. But anyways, I think that I got this one so I can get it back apart. And so you can see that the nut is in there, and if I had used this piece in there, it would have stuck out and my hand would have still been hitting on it. So that's why I changed over to the nut. And so there's a socket wrench. And I can get that nut out of there. Now, like I say, I'm just winging this. It's been forever since I've had this apart. And I barely can remember, how I went about doing all this. Okay, there's a nut off of that one. Ooh, I dropped it. Yow. Oh man, it's hard to get up and down. Anyways, this kind of looks, this is a standard nut of some sort. I guess it's about a 3/8 inch, but I had to file it down a lot smaller on the outside of it so that it would fit in this hole and, be small enough so I could get a wrench on it. If I left it full size, this hole in the end here would have had to been way too big. So if you can see that at all, you can see that it's got a real thin wall on it. I filed that down into a smaller outside size. So to see there, that just came off. So I could undo that nut. I wouldn't have had to take it all the way off, but I could undo that nut and I could change that handle where it's at. Now I've had these handles, I've got them on where I want them, and they've stayed there for a long time. Now these two ones here that I've personally used a lot, are set for flat side down. And then this one here, which I don't use very much for whatever reason, I've got it set bevel side down. There's times when I'm draw knifing that I want bevel side down, because flat side down, you cannot get into a little crook very good. And the example of that is this spot right here on an airfoil. It's hard to do that spot right in there with a flat side down, because the flat side just won't go around that corner. If you got flat side down, it doesn't do good there. But if you got bevel side down, it's a lot easier to get into that corner. And there's that spot on the chairs that I make. And then if I'm making the traditional Mueller chair, the John Alexander chair, there's a relief cut in the front of the back post. It's the same thing. If you're going to do that with a draw knife, bevel side down works better. Anyways, so we got this off of there now. And so what I did, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get this apart. And the reason I'm going to have a hard time getting it apart is because I've got little wedges of wood in there to make it not be rattling around and stuff. I've got it wedged in there. I'm going to see what this one's like. Maybe I can get this. Well, this one's got a wedge in it too. Okay, this one here's seems a lot looser, so I'm going to try to take it off and see if I can get it apart. I'm going to put these over here together so I don't get them mixed up. So anyways, I'm taking this apart. So now this nut is the same way. I had to take a regular nut and I filed it down smaller on the outside of it. It looks like about a 5/16 thread on it. That one, yeah. So anyways, on these two draw knives here, obviously this the thread on the end was a standard thread that something would fit on. Anyways, I'm working on this. Okay, this one's going to come apart. And this is actually the first one I ever did. This too. And let's see. I for sure can't remember what order I did these steps in. But you can get, I'll tell you what I did. Is I drilled a hole through here. I probably drilled this hole first here. Drilled a hole through there. And that's the hole that, you know, this was going to go into. And, you know, this was going to be up in there too. It was going to go through both of those at the same time. So I'm pretty sure I drilled that hole in there first. And for all I can remember, this piece here might have been a lot bigger than this when I started. But I just started, and then I knew eventually I would work it down to the diameter that I wanted. Because you can see here, down here at the bottom here, this is a very, you know, thin wall right here, around here. That's a pretty thin wall. If you're just using too small of a piece to start with, that might break out of there pretty easy. But then, you know, I drilled a hole in the bottom here, and this hole here is there's two different diameter holes there. And one of the diameters, the diameter that you can see right here on the outside, matches up with this spot right here. Pretty sure, yeah. It matches up right here, right there. Those two spots match up. Now inside there, and this is something I can't, it's been so long, but inside there, that diameter gets less. And because, you know, this tapers down to a smaller size, and so somehow or another, I made that diameter in there less, just so this thing wouldn't rattle around so much, I guess. That's what my idea was. But you can see that thing fits right up in there. And then there's a place right there for the draw knife to go in. And it kind of looks to me like this side, the diameter on this side is smaller than the diameter on this side. And this diameter on this outside needs to be big enough so that you can get your wrench in there. Where, see, on this side, the wrench barely fits on this side, but it fits in on this side. I obviously had to make this side a bigger hole, bigger diameter. And so then this one's a good tight fit. Now I noticed on that one there, this one here, I didn't get it quite as snug and stuff, and so it has some shims and stuff in it to make it tighter. If I'm going to put this back together, I want to get it lined up right. Those teeth, there, I got it sitting just, well, might as well get the nut started before I just make the final adjustment. So I guess that was just a lot of talking and stuff, and I don't know if you understood what I was saying or could see what was going on, but that's right now, with no script or anything, that's the best I can tell you what I did. trying to get it lined up straight when I'm tightening this. Those teeth are so small, I'm not sure I got it right. Yeah, I don't think I got it in the right notch. That seems right there. Now if I can hold this still while I do this part. Well, maybe, for all I know, those notches aren't perfectly lined up with each other. But anyways, I got that back together. And that nut is actually slightly sticking out there. I guess if I use this draw knife a lot, I mean, I used this draw knife for a few years, I know, before I got that other one that I use now. And I guess that didn't bother me right there. But that's why and how I went about doing that. This one here, I've got this wedge so tight, I can see that I've got a wedge down in there. I don't know how I got that wedge in there, but I've got that jammed in there so tight I can't get this apart. And I don't really want to pry it apart to show you. But this is a Nobles number 7. Usually if there's a number on a draw knife, it's the length of the blade here. I'm pretty sure this Greenlee's a number 8. I don't think it has a stamp on it, but it's an 8. It doesn't matter which way I put this. Ooh, I don't know how I ever got that started down in that hole. Maybe it's going in. Yep. So I got that back together. Okay. So that's the draw knife story. I'm going to look and see how much time has gone by. Wowee. Yeah, well, that's 28 minutes. I mean, that's a long enough video. I'm going to call that a video. That's going to just be the draw knife handle bit video. I was thinking maybe that I would do tools that I use. And I've got a bunch of tools laid out here that I was going to get into and show. But that's a long enough video. And anyways, I hope you all are doing well out there. I'm doing well here. It's cold outside, but that's okay. I'll see you again another time, I hope. I mean, if you got any questions about this or about tools and stuff, you know, leave a comment. Oh, and I need to say that if you comment on an old video, I don't look back. It's hard, you know, it's just something that, but anyways, I did look back the other week, and that's where I found these questions on these particular, this particular thing. Anyways, leave a comment, and, anyways, I'll see you another time. Bye now.